All right, so I just finished Knife of Dreams, the 11th Wheel of Time book. Um, I don't know why I'm going to start the reviews at book 11, but I guess this is when I'm starting them. I just finished reading it, so I'll start there. So I think I'm going to go character by character about what went on with them and what I liked and disliked about their particular characters. I feel like that's the best way to review Wheel of Time because it's so character based. Anyway, so Rand is kind of boring, I think, throughout this book. He is doing last battle prep, so he decides he's going to go and make a truce with the Shan-Chan. I don't know, for someone who can travel and go anywhere at any time, I feel like he does a bad job at this. I don't know. It just seems weak, like a weak plan. Gonna go and meet with Tuon and I don't know, hope for the best. I think one of the things that makes this, I feel, a bad plan. I think whenever a character says, like, oh, we're going to go, and it might be a trap, might not, but we're going to spring it anyway and see what happens. First off, it never works out that well. And secondly, yeah, if that's your mentality, fine, but then don't lose a hand when you're going to go do it. I think it was his hand in a super lame way. I like that there are lasting repercussions for main characters. I feel like that's something that doesn't happen enough. I don't think it's happened enough with the series so far. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, cool, this happened, but could have happened more interestingly, like Mat's hanging scar. Like that's like a lasting consequence for his actions, and I like that. But it happens so much more interestingly and like almost unavoidably, where like he didn't know what he was getting into. He could have not done it, but also he didn't like know what was going to happen. So I think for a character to not know what's going to happen and then have something happen to them and not be a lasting effect, I think that's good. But then for a character to go in and say like I know it's going to be a trap, but I'm going to be ready for it, and then just be super unready and get injured, it's like yeah, you kind of just like threw that in there just so they would get injured. I don't know. It just didn't feel as it didn't feel as well earned as for like Mat's scar. Um, Also, for the first time in the series, Rand loses the battle of control over the power with Lews Therin, which I loved. I was so excited to see that actually happen finally after all the time it's been hinted at. So I thought that was really cool. It made me think, like, Lews Therin, he's going to defend himself. So when he's attacked later, when he loses his hand, like he can't. First off, why was he not holding the power beforehand? That's silly. Secondly, just let Lews Therin take over. Like you've worked out this arrangement where it's fine. Like he'll prevent you from losing your hand probably. Just let him do his thing. I get why you wouldn't want to do it to start the process, but even then he could have just held the power beforehand before they went there in the first place. I always think it's weird that they don't go in preparing for like if you're again. It goes back to the whole trap thing. If you know it's going to be a trap, go more prepared. I don't know. Rand was kind of lame, but I hope that in the next book, the last battle prep actually like I don't know picks up more and you start seeing the characters kind of going towards their final thing. Speaking of characters going towards their final thing, I thought it was really exciting that we finally get the answer to what was in the letter that Moiraine left Tom. And it has to do with Mat, and Mat is going to go back into the ter'angreal to, I'm assuming, go back to the Aelfinn and the Eilfin. I'm saying those names correctly. And him, Tom, and I guess Noel are the three people that are going to go. I do think Noel is a Forsaken. He's something clearly. He's either a Forsaken or he could be the person that that Rand keeps seeing with the visions. I also think that's Moradin because he's using the true power, not the one power. So I don't know. And I guess Moradin's also a Forsaken. So I do think it's a Forsaken. My first guess is Moradin. Um, anyway, so yes, so they're gonna go and they're gonna go save Moraine, which I'm really excited about. I think that's awesome. I'm excited that it's Mat. I'm excited that they're going back into the that world dimension, another world. I don't know what the difference is. I think the one with Mat, the story, his whole thing with Tuon, them getting married. I like how fatalistic on both of their ends it is, and I wonder if that's like you know, because you believe that it's true. Like they both have someone telling them it's gonna happen, so they both end up making it happen. I think it's a really interesting dynamic to have in a book where you have that um, like did it happen because it was supposed to happen or did it happen because you made it happen? I like that question, and it'll be interesting to see what that does in the future. Having him be married to Tuon, I don't I don't know how Mat's story kind of wanders back to her. If he's going off to, I assume, Tyr, which is the only workable um, Angreal to get back into the Aelfin Ylfin. I don't know how close that is to Altara, but I don't think it's that close. Um, and I can check the map. I could not tell you where these things are. Anyway, I don't really know where Tyr is in relation to where Tuon is at Vidar. So I don't know how they location wise come back together, but that'll be fun, I guess. I like their whole back and forth, and I do like that Mat becomes more mature throughout the process, which I think is something that he obviously needs as a character. Um, moving on, Perrin finally, oh my gosh, wrapped up the him finally back with Fael. Has it been like what 2 books where Fael's been captured? Such a slow. That's been too slow. I did not like that whole story. It was boring. Like it's nice that they're back together, and I do like that. Like Fael, like she like comes back immediately, takes charge again, like does cool things. Like I like Fael a lot. I like Perrin a lot, but like he's just like every day. Oh, my wife is still captured, and I'm sad about it. We know the entire Crossroads of Twilight book. That's all it did. Was just that. It was so boring, and it took them a whole book to get back together. But it's fine. It's over, and they're moving on. I like that they were able to, because there's so many like things going on in the world. It's nice that they can connect them a little bit more together. So like you have the Shido threat with Savannah doing their own thing, and it's been very like kind of insulated from our main character. So it was nice to have the main character storylines intersect back in with the Shido, so you could get like a feel for what was going on there. You could like be in the Shido camp with Savannah, learning what she's going on, but it actually did connect to the main character's story, having Fael there do that. However, I don't see what exactly is left for that whole storyline. They had like that weird box thing that they were talking to one of the Forsaken. I don't know if that's still a thing. Maybe they find that when they search the camp. I think that was what they're going to do at the end of the book. But they capture Savannah. No, the Shido are all just going to go back to the waste. Like, I don't know. Didn't feel like a good payoff for all that time. The Shido thread. Oh, they're going to like capture Rand. Just going to marry Rand, and then it's like, never mind. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll come back in a bigger way later. I don't know. But 2 things in that battle. Yay, Tam's back. I like Tam, and it's very sad that he doesn't have any clue what's going on with Rand. So hopefully Perrin fills him in. I feel like he's just like, it is what it is, and that's a little sad. But it was nice to see Tam back, and him comes in clutch when you need him most. So that was nice. And then, what's his name? Aram, the Tinker. That was sad. Kind of lame too. I don't know. I just wasn't very inspired by his death. Like, I definitely, like, yeah, it made sense that he was going to be taken in by the, whatchamacallits, what is his name? Anyway, like, it makes sense that it made sense that he was taken in by the Dragon Sworn, I forget his name, Prophet of the Dragon. I like that, because it's like, it really, like, it's like the whole descent of him from Tinker to Warrior to insane. But it was like a really long time of him just being angry, and then it was like a pretty quick descent to him trying to kill Perrin. I don't know. I just think that it would have been better if he had not died, and he could have like gone on and like maybe even killed what's his face, Prophet of the Dragon. I can't remember his name, but maybe he could have killed him and taken over whatever was left of the Dragon Sworn. I think a lot of them died at the end of the book, and then you could have had that like switch where the character that you actually like have followed for a while now becomes in a more important role and takes the place of someone who you don't really care that much about. So much so I can't even remember his name. I think that could have been more interesting, or he could have just, I don't know, just done more. If he hadn't died, I feel like he could have been a more interesting character later on. Moral of the story. Moving on to the rest of the Emmonsfield Five. Egwene. I really liked Egwene's story throughout this book. It was really nice to see her come into her own. I mean, obviously, it's just like the last, whatever, 4 books, like coming into her own as Amyrlin and being like in charge of the rebels. But it was really cool to see how quickly she's become like established in the tower, and it was really cool to see that. I really liked her story, everything she did in the story. Her work in the tower was really cool. I just thought that was a very interesting and well done arc for her to take. So, and I'm excited to see where that leads in the next book. Finally, she's doing something. I feel like she's been doing a lot, but not a lot with the rebels. Like, it's a lot of time spending like, oh, we're gonna like move the army. I don't know. It was a lot of work for not a lot of action. This was actually felt like finally like a payoff where she actually is doing a lot, and a lot is actually happening as a result of her actions. So that was Egwene. Pretty much great all around. And then it ends with both the rebels and the Tower Aes Sedai both decided they're going to go try to bond Ashaman, which then you get let the Lord of Chaos rule from Mazrim Taim. Obviously, he's a dark friend. I'm always wondering which one's a dark friend, just like regular dark friend, or which one is a Forsaken masquerading as someone else. I think that maybe that happens too often. Like, I think they have the whole that like Deshiva was a Forsaken. I still don't know which Forsaken he was supposed to be. I don't remember. Like, I don't know if it told us. I think it did. I just don't remember. But I think it happens too often where they're pretending to be someone else that they're not, and then it's like, oh, it's a Forsaken, surprise. Like we all know they're in charge of these people. So like Suroth, she's a good example. She's a dark friend, but like she's doing a lot and is, you get to like get her perspective and you see it. And then I feel like whenever we don't get a perspective for a dark friend, it's probably because they're Forsaken. Because if we know Taim's a dark friend, we don't ever see what's going on in his world. I like that we don't see what's going on with this world, so I'm excited to see how, if we do get to learn more about that now that the Aes Sedai are there and they're going to be, I don't know, I assume killed by him. That seems like the most logical um, option. And then finally, Nynaeve. She did not do a whole lot in this book. Basically nothing. She healed Rand. I like that she's less annoying now. She's my least favorite character from Emond's Field. And finally, this book, she didn't do a lot, but she also like I wasn't just like actively annoyed by her presence. She was generally nice, which was good. And then she goes off, and Lan's gonna go fight the Shadow and the Blight, and he's gonna get all his Valkyrie people. I like that. That was nice. That was like the one part that she like. I think maybe the only thing she did the whole book. But she goes and she's like rallies the troops for Lan, and he's going to travel. I'm assuming through these places that she's going, and they're all going to be ready to come fight with him. And that was very heartwarming because they're going to go and the rise of the Valkyrie. So that was nice. That was very heartwarming, and it was nice to see Lan and Nynaeve's relationship have like a working, like I don't know. It's not just like I will not leave. Nynaeve actually like doing stuff to help him while she can't be there with him. So that was nice. And that's pretty much it. We have Galad. He kills Valda. I don't even remember which. There's Galad and Gawain, and they're like so similar yet just different enough where I do not know which was which, and I don't know. I think Galad is like the one who always does what's right, and is the one that's in love with Egwene. I don't know, they're too similar. I feel like they had different. Their names started with different letters. I think it would have helped me not forget which one is which. It's nice that he killed Valda because that guy was the worst. And he had a good duel. I like that, and it was nice to see some of that like classic. It's not all just battles fought with the power. Like there is still that classic fantasy, sword stabby stab. So that was nice. And then he's going to lead the White Cloaks now. I don't think it was like a duel to like become the leader, but then they did, and they're going to go. I assume fight the Shadow somewhere else. I don't know. His story's not that interesting, and there's not enough of him for me to like connect with him as a character or remember him. I guess remember which one he is. But I guess good for him. He killed Valda. Cool. So that's pretty much Knife of Dreams, the last book by Robert Jordan, or I guess the last book solely by Robert Jordan. To be honest, I'm pretty excited to get to the Brandon Sanderson books. Last 3 books, 12, 13, last 3 books, because I love Brandon Sanderson. This has been nice. I'm interested. I think things I'm most interested to see what happens is if we get the Sanderlanche at the end, because I think that's one of the things that this book, that some of the books do really well and some of the books miss, like Winter's Heart. The book is so boring, and then right at the very end, it picks up really well. And I don't think you see that in a lot of Sanderson books. I feel like he has a much better job at like actually like tapering to that, like that dramatic finale, the dramatic finale. You don't have that just like, oh, suddenly we're gonna have an interesting scene here. I like that slow build, so I'm excited to see if that comes back, and I'm excited to hopefully end with some of the tropes, the folding the arms under the breasts, Nynaeve tugging her braid. Oh, then not tugging her braid, and she's gonna reach. Oh, will she? Won't she? relationship with her braid is too much, and it happens all the time, and it's just too much. And then there's some other things that he says all the time that it's just like, all right, we know, like we know, it's okay. You don't have to say it the exact same way every single time. So I'll be interested to see if he continues with some of those just so it feels more like Robert Jordan's writing, or if he kind of takes some of those out because they're just so annoying. I'll be interested to see. So those are things I'm looking forward to with Sanderson taking over. But this was a good book. I like this one. I think I liked it. I liked it a lot more than the past 3-4 books. I know this is like the end of the slump, or the last book was like this is the first book out of the slump after. I thought it was part of the slump, and I was like, oh, it's actually pretty good. I don't know why people were complaining about this one. A lot happens. All those boring slump plot lines finally come to a close. So I think that really pulls this book along, is that you're actually going to get the conclusion of these long storylines, like Perrin and Faile stuff, and Mat and Tuon, that comes to an end. So, or Mat and the Seanchan entirely. So, yes, those are my thoughts on the book, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. And if you did, let me know your favorite part in the comments, and I'll be excited to see them. All right.